know what time it is. Marvin Devine, Hoover, Axel, and you know how we do. Yeah, I got the juice. Whip game cool, make them look like cool. Always play cool, that's the biggest rule. Forget what they doing, keep on doing that. I've been making loot since like 22. Ask me how I made it right here in the booth. I'm always pursued cause of what I pursue. That's greatness, yeah, I gotta make it, I got things to lose. Boy, wanna get in my crew, but you can't get in my crew. Me, Axel, and Hoover, way too fireable. When this joint drop, better call the troops. And when you hear the drop, better raise the roof. Better raise the roof. You already know what happens when we link up. Let's go. Yeah.
Y'all ready for this? Yeah.
This is the Lisa Baxter Show, giving you the 411 in the kidney world. Not my girl, and say, this is.
I can't talk right now. I gotta take my daughter to dialysis, so I can't talk right now, okay? So please, thank you. Hannah, me and your father want you to go with us to dialysis. I know you don't like it, and we're gonna stay with you the whole time like we always do. Okay, look, mommy got you a nice kidney awareness bracelet. And I got you also a nice little keychain thing, right? Don't let mommy have your tablet or let you borrow the phone so you can play games on it while you do your treatment, right? Yeah, look, I even bought a little gift, a little play toy. Yeah, woo, right? Yeah, come on now. Come on, I gotta try to coax you out. Look, from your favorite lady, I got her book for you. You always wanted it. And mommy and daddy got it for you. She does a show and everything. I'm going to have to call her up. You know, she had to talk to you last time. Lee is on the book. What am I saying? Lisa Baxter, because this is the Lisa Baxter Show, giving you the 411 in the kidney world. Hi, guys, and happy Sunday to you. To you, you, and you. That's right. That's right. We got a wonderful show for you. But I wanted to say two things before I introduce my guest. And one of the things I wanted to say is it's called underpads. I don't know if you ever got these things called underpads. I don't know what situation you deal with, but you never know. Maybe it's you, maybe it's your mother, your grandmother, somebody sick with a weak bladder or things like that. I know I had to use these for when my when I sleep at night, my mouth bleeds and stuff like that. And I don't know what that's about, but I have a gum disease as well. As you see, my teeth is not in. I'm still working on that, and nobody wants to touch me. But these undergarments is good, and they're very helpful if you need them. And you can spread them in a chair. You could spread them in the bed. You could spread them anywhere that you don't want anything to mess anything up or, get on anything, leak on anything or something like that. No urine or no other little other, or anything. All right. So I just wanted to say that. And let me see if I got this right. I'm reading it upside down without my reading glasses, of course. Okay. Proverbs 20:5 says, counsel in the heart of a man is like deep waters, but a man of understanding can draw it out. And my guest is definitely a man of understanding. Let me introduce him. That's right. This guy not only dealt with kidney dialysis or transplant, he dealt with lupus and still dealing with some of these things. And now he's a lupus awareness. He's a supporter. He's a fighter. He's a male lupus warrior. He's the owner and CEO of this particular company. He's going to tell you his fantabulous, wonderful story. Okay. Emmitt Henderson the third. Welcome. Welcome.
How you doing there, Lisa? That introduction is like one of a kind. As soon as you said my name, it's like spotlights just turned on. So it's like, wow, I feel like I'm royalty with you.
No, you very much royalty because you're family and because of who you are and what you do and how you are doing it. Listen, man, all things purple. How about that? One of my favorite colors.
That's right.
Hey. I ain't mad at you. I am not mad at you. Listen, we're going to tell you a story tonight. A story that might have been told before, but it hasn't been told here. And like you said last night when we was on the phone, it can be told in different ways, and nobody like you can tell it. How about that? Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Well, we're going to start off with, tell me, before all of this has happened, which I know you've dealt with it a long time, but what type of work or job did you do before you started doing your mail CEO thing that you do, your project?
I was actually in the automotive industry. I started very young in management and managed dealerships in the service department and also tune-up shops. So my career was strictly that. It was demanding because of high volume. And starting that right out of high school, it's what my profession was. I made really good money out of it, of course, until, lupus came along. But I was very proud of my career. I learned and gained a lot out of it. And, things happen for certain reasons. And I thought that was my passion. But lupus taught me otherwise. I have another passion.
Okay. That is wonderful. I mean, I'm glad you were able to work and hold down a job. Some warriors don't work. Some warriors worked and stopped working, and some held down a job. I worked the whole time. I only took off the time for operations and healing, but I worked the whole time, still working at it. still trying to deal and do. You know what I
Right.
mean? But
Right.
you have such a unique story with dealing with lupus, kidney disease, transplant, and everything. So I'm going to break each. I'm gonna let you tell your story the way you tell it, but we're gonna break it down where you get to tell about each thing that you deal with. All right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So we're gonna get it started. And how did your lupus or kidney warrior or transplant warriorship start, my brother?
Well, how it all started, of course, was there, you know, with going into the hospital, not knowing what these pains were in my lower back, to find out that I was already in kidney failure, which I wasn't given any type of warning. It was just pains that I had that as a young man I put all that to the side because I didn't think that a pain should let me leave my job to go get checked out when all I can do is thinking I could just rest, take some painkillers, and I'll be all right. But when it started consecutively every day and got worse and worse, I knew I had to go in and get it checked out. And good thing I did. Good thing I did. When I went in, they told me I was already in kidney failure, but because of my blood and lab work, something was wrong that they had to go further. So being diagnosed with systemic lupus was the cause. It was already causing my kidneys to fail, and they knew that dialysis was in, their future sight. I ended up going through dialysis after a couple years of trying to sustain them with steroids, medication, chemotherapy, all of that stuff, radiation therapy. But unfortunately, my kidneys just kept going for the worse. So I was on peritoneal dialysis for a little bit over a year until my family stepped up, which Lisa, I didn't want nobody in my family to test only because I was the one going through the hospital in and out, back and forth. I didn't want them to have any type of procedure done. So I told them not to. We even had a rally down here in San Diego where we had over 300 people that came out and tested for me, but not one person was a match. So of course, the family, and as close as we are, my family went right behind my back and they all got tested. My little brother was 100% match across the board. And so it was on. They went ahead and did all the necessary procedures they needed to do to make sure you qualified. And then we did all the paperwork with the hospital from June 2012 to February 2013 is as long as it took for me to get the word and then to be on the operating table side by side with my little brother. And if I could tell you how that story came about, how it was presented to me was like in the most fashionable way that it was real emotional. Every Father's Day in June, my family, I have two brothers and one sister. So we all gather around my parents' house and we exchange gifts like we do. And it's just another Father's Day, thanking God we're all here and doing what we're doing. So I'm looking at my brothers exchanging gift cards and I see Best Buy, I see like Walmart, I see some of these nice gift cards and I'm like, wow, I can't wait to see what mine is. So I get my brother gives me a bag, a little lunch bag, the brown paper bags. And inside of that bag was a can of kidney beans. And in the note, it said, I love you, bro. Here's my kidney. And I'm looking at it and not even thinking, I'm thinking, what do you want me to do? You want me to make you a salad, a bowl, a dish or something? And I'm puzzled about it. But then he said, no, read my card. I read it again. And it's like my heart just dropped. It's like, I'm giving you my kidney. And so it took a second for me to process it. But when I did, it was that he was actually telling me that he was giving me a kidney. And then the whole family was just emotional from there. Him and his wife knew, nobody else knew. And then when that had happened, again, it was just that bond that we have that he decided to do it. And it was so surreal to where it was like, I just couldn't believe it. I felt down because I was thinking out of 300 people, somebody has to prove and, to be a positive choice, but nobody was. So I tried to act like it didn't bother me. The man in me said, you know what, keep moving, keep going, don't trip, whatever. Father's Day comes around about a week or so later, and all the emotions that I held in of being sad because no one was a donor came out because now my brother's giving me a kidney. So that was deep, Lisa. That was real deep.
Wow, my God. Woo! Oh man, I'm moved, I'm touched, and I'm blown away. I just love that. I love it. How creative. It was fantabulous. Shondo. A little can of kidney beans. I don't know, maybe it was a big can, but a can of kidney beans, a card, a gift, and for Father's Day. What a triple decker dipple gift.
And
wow.
to this day, I got that can with me in my room. It's never going to leave my side because that was my second chance of life that I celebrate. You know, the kidney transplant saved my life, and it's why I am here today doing what I do today, because I had a second chance of life, and I'll never forget that.
Well, we have that in common. I'm like you. I didn't want, well, my family couldn't really test because most of my family, you know, most of my siblings were on dialysis or had the polycystic kidney disease. But my husband snuck behind my back. And I'm like, listen, he was the only healthy person in the family. I definitely didn't want him doing anything. You know what I mean? I said, I'm not miserable on dialysis. I function well on it and I'm fine. I just have, you know, low calcium and low blood pressure. But he snuck and did it anyway. It was a perfect match, but wasn't able to give it because of a faulty heart valve he had wasn't connecting. And they didn't want him to undergo any type of surgeries or anything like that. Right. But he really wanted to do it. And I love that people that try and want to and step up and do everything to save their loved ones. Well, because even though you love them, they love you even more.
That apparently, and because when I told you that they had an event for me where over 300 people showed up, it was a surprise to me. I was being brought to a parking lot thinking like, okay, where are we going? And then I see all these people, and then I'm like, yo, there's my homie over there. Hey, wait, I know that person too. And what is this? And they told me they're here for you. I'm like, what did I do? No, you see the nurses over there? They're doing swabs to test for a kidney. Again, that was like, wow, I couldn't believe that had happened. And it's like I got out the car and everybody was just clapping, glad I was there. So I'm just so touched for every single person that got involved and was there, whether they tested or not. And then when we found out nobody had tested, the apologies came in like they're so wrong because they didn't pass or they weren't able to donate. So it was such a humbling experience for me to where it's just so much that I carry in my heart because of that. And to fast forward a little bit, it's kind of why I do what I do now. I've been through the struggles. I was near death with other things besides my kidneys that lupus has taken me through. And I do what I do now because of my experience.
Okay. You had to deal with this thing. Now, when you was on dialysis, how was your dialysis trip? I mean, how you did what you did? Did you experience any illness, sickness, problems, or even victories?
You know, I would have said, if anything, Lisa, I would say more victories, and I'll explain why. I'll explain why. I got peritoneal dialysis. However, in the very beginning, when they did the surgery to put the tube in me, they put it in wrong to where the tube, instead of pointing down to my peritoneal, it pointed up. So the first time they filled me with fluids, the upper part of my chest started going up and I could not breathe. They took me from the clinic by an ambulance to the hospital, go back inside, take out the tube, find a new area, put it back in, and then I had to wait another week before they could start. So anyway, the second time they got it right. But I got the scars to prove now. I got a happy face from my chest to my stomach, but because of the scars. But the second time when they did it right, and I started the peritoneal, the first 2 days of doing it, which I was doing it every night for about 9 to 10 hours a night at home in my bed at night. For the first 2 days, I felt the effect 2 to 3 days later where I was just so weak and fatigued that it kept me in bed a couple times. And I remember dialysis to dialysis every night, I was in bed the whole time. That's just how weak I was. But then I would say after about a week and a half, I started to get my strength back. After 2 weeks, I was 100% me, with energy, with style, with spaz. I was like, whoa, wait a minute, am I actually cured? That's what I had talked to my doctor about. And they were like, no, it's just that now you're getting proper filtration that your body wasn't getting because of your kidneys. So you need to do this every single night. So when I was reading about the dialysis, learning and educating myself on dialysis, peritoneal, and hemo, I was seeing some of the struggles of some of the people that has to do this 2 to 3 times a week, 3 to 4 hours a day in different destinations. And I'm like, wait, I'm too much of an active guy. What caused me, or excuse me, what brought me to do peritoneal. And I think it was just the best decision I ever made. Now that's for me. It may not be for everybody, but for me, the energetic type of guy
Right.
that I was up and out of the bed at 6 in the morning, going to bed early to get the dialysis done. And then I moved on with my day like nothing was even wrong. I couldn't go back to work because they wouldn't let me, but I had this tube and a waist type of holder, I guess, that held that tube, that you look at me and you would think I'm 100% healthy, but you don't see that I have a tube coming out of my body that's secured by a waist belt. You don't see the medication that I take in the morning. I never tried to perceive that I was sick, nor told anybody I was sick. My friends wondered why I had to leave early when we did anything on the weekend. My friends wondered why that I couldn't stay out later than a certain time. And I never told. I never told. A stigma in men is where we don't reveal certain things that if it doesn't need to be heard, we're not going to say it. And so they didn't know I was going home every night to hook up to a machine and let this machine save my life every night. They didn't know that. But to me, peritoneal dialysis, and that's the reason why I say it is a victory, because once I'm off it in the morning, I ran about my day as if nothing was wrong. Because I was off work, I had projects at the house. I took care of the house. I did everything I needed to do. And I literally thought that I'm cured because I feel so good. So that's my take on that dialysis and peritoneal.
Wow. Well, okay. So that's fantastic. I mean, like you said, people can be secretive, not even just men, even though I know men do that, but people do become secretive about it. I was an open book and a walking billboard the whole time I was dealing with it because I saw so much. And then I had so many family members dealing with this, that I had to do something, say something, or be some sort of help, or, just kept my ear to the ground. But
Right.
I ain't mad at you. One of my sisters and my brother dealt with peritoneal as well and hemodialysis. Most of all of us got hemodialysis, but those are the only two that experienced peritoneal.
Right.
But okay, so you did dialysis, but before I even go into transplant stuff, I wanted to ask you, how long was you dealing with when you found out you had lupus? You were young when you found that out, didn't you?
That was in 1995, and I was 25 years old at the time. Do the math. You guys find out I'm 50 years old today, which I'll be 51 in April. And the transplant was done in 2013. So I'll be celebrating my 8th year, February 25th next month.
Woo! Happy kidniversary. Right?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, so you dealt with this thing and you found out about it. When they gave you the news about, I want to ask about the news for each thing. When they gave you the news about you having to deal with having this disease, lupus, what came across your mind first?
Oh, the first thing that came across my mind is, what is lupus? It's like, I never heard of it before. And the first thing I asked is that, am I going to die? Because I was in there over 30 days just to tell me what's wrong with me. And the test that they did was test after test. And it was kind of getting discouraged at the end because they didn't know what it was. And so when a lady comes in that's a rheumatologist, that even at the time, I didn't know what that title was, to tell me that because of my age and my gender and because of my ethnicity, that it's rare that I have this disease that she thinks I have. And she told me lupus. And again, I didn't know what it was. I asked her, why is it rare? She said, because it's a woman's disease. And so that made me feel, I mean, I'm all man, even at the time, because I had a lot of responsibilities as a manager at work and raising 2 kids, my own property, everything. And then you're going to tell me I got a woman's disease? And it's like, I was in a denial type to where I even told the doc, I said, well, can you just give me some pills? And then can I go home and I'll just deal with this? And she said, no, we wish it was that easy. This is something that you really need to pay attention to and learn about. So keep in mind, back in 95, there's no Google. I couldn't go on my phone, go to Google and look it up. I couldn't do that. So I had to rely on the nurses giving me pamphlets, which the illustrations on the pamphlets referred to an outsketch of a woman's body. And so that was really kind of hard to read and take it, because and I'm asking him, what am I reading? What am I looking at? This doesn't pertain to me. He says, well, just kind of look at what it does, the symptoms and everything. It's like, okay, I have all of that. I know that. But what can I do now? Well, the doctor will let you know. So that's one thing. And then because of my kidneys, that was like a double whammy on top of that. It looks like that your lupus had caused your kidneys to start failing. You know, my GFR numbers, everything was just crazy to where, okay, so here I got to deal with this. In the back of my mind, what's really mainly on my mind is, what are my guys doing at work? How are my numbers at work? I hope everything is going good at work. I'm not really too much into why I'm here. Now that you told me, fix me so I can go back to work. But it didn't turn out that way at all. I had a reality check that was just something I wasn't expecting at all.
Well, you know, of course, because men always want to take care of the family, take care of business, about business. So illness is like not an option. You know what I mean? Like you said, fix me and let's get this over with, you know, kind of thing. You know, I'm going to say my goodbyes to you right now, you know what I'm saying, kind of thing. But, well, I'm glad you listened to them. You know what I mean? You know, even like the breast cancer, when men started getting some of the breast cancer things in their you know, chest, you know, I'm sure that was hard for men too. You know what I mean? So I could not imagine. Any disease is hard. You know what I mean? Whatever kind it is, wherever it's coming from, you don't want it.
No, not at all.
You just don't want it.
No.
And you can't be talking to me, you know, kind of thing.
And you know, at that age, I was trained to keep going. I never went to the hospital prior to that. If I had a headache, I'd take Tylenol and lay down. I had a body ache, I'd lay down. And that's it. And I keep on going. Never had history except as a young kid. But then there's been 15 years of being healthy until it bites me back all over again. But I wasn't prone or anything to go into the hospital. So that was hard to accept, that I had to do that.
All right. So now they told you the kidneys is failing. They gave you this double whammy, rotten news. You know what I mean? Some news we got to try to turn it around. But I'm telling you, when we hear it, we ain't thinking about no turnaround, no victory. All we see is this terrible thing in front of us. So you see this thing, you know you got it. When did you start thinking about the transplant?
I wasn't, because I was more into, I'm just going to do what I got to do and keep myself going, and hopefully not being educated on it. Hopefully I just don't have to have it, or I will get better. And I just did what I had to do. At the time, I just bought a house. So I was into fixing the house. I was into building things. I kept myself busy, my mental state busy, to where I just did everything I needed to, and then went home and did my dialysis at night. Prior to the dialysis, I would just load up on my medications I was supposed to, and still did everything I needed to. So even though I couldn't work, I even asked my boss to pay me under the table, because I feel like I got to go to work. I got to do something. And they did. I'm not going to put his name out there, but he paid me under the table to do my job there. And I did, for the most part. He cared about me, only wanted me to work 6 hours or so, but I did. I worked a full 10 to 12 because that's what I do, and that's what I did. Being sick, being mindfulness about being sick, unfortunately, at that time, wasn't my high priority. My high priority was not skipping a beat from my everyday routine. And again, everything that I've experienced is why and what I do today, because I learned from that. If I can go back and rewind, this story would be totally different, because it would have been, I would have took care of my body. I wouldn't have tried these extra things. I would have rested when I was told to rest. But, you know, God put me on this journey for a reason, made me suffer the way he did, just for me to do and be strong the way I am today.
Well, this illness don't have to be unto death. And a lot of times it's for you to do something for somebody else. And that's exactly what you're doing. You took a serious situation and turned it into a victory. I ain't mad at you, and you ain't never lied. How about that? Let me tell you something. I understand what you're talking about, because I was helping a young man to get a job. I was at the dialysis center, and one of the guys walked up to me that was doing dialysis. He said, "Lisa, I hear you get people jobs. Can you get me a job?" I got him a job working in construction. But the construction I had them working in was my sister and brother who was in construction, but also on dialysis. You know, so Desamone Crossland, Shelton Crossland. And so when I let them do the work and stuff, they was nervous and scared. They said, listen, Lisa, he might fall apart or die or something like that. You know, he's doing everything good and well, but we don't want no dust getting on him. We don't want nothing happening to him. Yeah. And I tried to talk, and he kept saying, Lisa, no, I want to do this job. He was so bent. I let him do for a while, and then they had to let him go, and I had to just say, look, this is how it's going to be. You know, go get Social Security or something for now, and then maybe we can revisit this. But right now, I can't let it continue because something happened to you, I'm going to be worried too. I'm in the center with you. Right. You know what I mean? Right. But I said that because of what you said about you were working and he helped you to work on the table, because he probably still wanted you to feed yourself and your family. See, people still want to help, but they don't also want to be, they're scared if something happened to you. They don't want to be, you know, accountable for that or feel bad if something truly or deadly happens. So I'm glad nothing did, and I'm glad you was able still to feed your family. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah, absolutely. And I what I had to do at the time was I had to tell my family and everyone around me that was close, that knew everything about that I was going through. I had to tell them and literally convince them that I will not put myself in jeopardy. If I felt I couldn't do it, I won't do it. But because I feel I can do it, that my drive is going to let me do it. But if I knew, wait a minute, I'm hurting, then I will stop, because again, I keep saying that I am no good to anybody if I'm not good to myself. So, but convincing everybody else that was pretty hard. It was hard to do that because they just saw I was such a go-getter that they thought that I was just going to run myself into the ground, having this illness and with kidney damage, and then with everything that came about with lupus as well. You had that drive in you. All right. Now, your brother gives you the kidney. All right, I don't know if you were afraid anything might happen to him, because he was bent on doing it, and the family was pushing him. His wife was by his side, who also didn't mind him doing it. So it was a team effort. It takes teamwork to make the dream work. You know what I mean? And that dream is working. I'm looking at you over there. Yes, you know what I'm saying. So you know, yes. Wow. So once you got the kidney, how was it having a transplant? You know what? The transplant was actually a lot easier than I thought. At that time in the transplant, I've already had some major surgeries prior to that. So I wasn't scared of doctor procedures, surgeries, anything like that. By that time, from being diagnosed from 95 to have the transplant in 2013, between 95 and 13, I had built up so much strength and confidence towards any procedure to where I was telling the doctors, hey, let's just go. Let's get it over with. I was not scared one bit. I was not worried. Everybody around me was more worried and scared for me, but not me. So when it came time for that day of the transplant, I have a picture that I had posted for the transplant. My grandson was allowed to walk me to the final doors where my family couldn't even go through a set of doors. So he held my hand and escorted me while I was being rolled into the bed to that final door. And I was like, you know, if anything was to happen to me, I'm blessed and I can accept it, because the last hand with my family back there and the last hand that I held was my grandson's. And so we got the procedure done. I felt like I slept a couple hours, woke up. I was good. I was out of that bed that first day to walk from one side of the room to the other. I was let out 2 days later because it's mandatory 3 days. And Lisa, I felt like, again, a little bit sore from the site, but I felt like I'm brand new all over again. But lupus continued to do damage on other organs. So now I had to shift my pattern and thought to that. But it was a beautiful experience. Beautiful. A strong man, a man of faith. How did you do with the medication? Oh, the medications was a different story now. I wasn't afraid to take them. I wasn't afraid to take them, but Lisa, you won't believe that the steroids of what it did to me. My lupus was so aggressive that I was on high doses of prednisone for so many years. I mean, if I had a flare, I was intravenous with steroids at 125 milligrams. And then I would take them orally at home starting at 85 milligrams. So with anybody that takes these steroids knows what it does. I had a lot of water weight built on me. I put about 45 to 50 pounds of water weight. One water pill, I dropped 15, 20 pounds overnight, but then taking the pills again, I regained it all over. That was a period of my life where
I understood what depression was, but I didn't fall into it because my mind didn't let me. The steroids that I was on, with the weight that I gained, I wasn't myself. I have pictures that I don't share with anybody until my book comes out, where those pictures will be exposed. And it was just a stigma in me again to where, wait a minute, this is me today. That wasn't me then, but that was me then. And I understand that that person that in those pictures that I have of me on the heavy steroids is part of my journey. And it just took a long time to accept it. I couldn't show people that. I was kind of upset they were taking, but now I'm blessed they were taken, because it's a reminder now that I will never, hopefully never, let myself get to that point again, that I am that sick and I need that much medication. So that was a really hard time. That was a really hard time. So what you see now is I'm still on a lot of medication now, but it is not the steroid that made me gain the extra water weight that I did. And right now, I'm more mindful about my body and my mind, to where I try to work out when I can. I do a lot of cardio. I do a lot of walking. I do weights, and I'm trying to eat good, but I'm such a foodie that's kind of hard.
Wow, wow. Well, you're a strong man.
Thank
You're
you.
a
I try to be.
strong man, strong leader.
Thank you.
Strong man, strong leader. You know, you got a family around you, you got your community and everything around you, a man of faith and everything. That's really good. That's a great thing. You
Thank
know,
you.
and you're an advocate also. So tell me about how wait, let me back it up before I go there. You also had something dealing with another surgery or issue with your brain, your head, if you don't mind talking about.
Not at all. Not at all. For the past 2 years prior to 2019 in June, I was actually flare free, which I haven't had an episode of anything. Again, I felt like I was on top of the world. I felt everything was good. Work was going good. I felt like I was just, I can't be stopped, sick or not. I can't be stopped. June 2019, out of nowhere, and this is how unpredictable lupus is. I had a flare coming out of nowhere. At work, at my desk, my temperature went from normal to, I had a thermometer. I ended up reading about 103, and I just said, I told my coworker, and they, called the other person in there that's somewhat of a nurse. Hey, you probably need to go home, or you need to go to the hospital. I'm like, no, just give me some Tylenol. Let me rest, close my door, let me rest, and let me see how I go. Next thing you know, I wake up, I'm in a car being driven towards the hospital. I tell them I don't want to go to the hospital. I don't. I'm okay. I just need to rest and go home. So I convinced them, they took me home. I didn't wake up till almost a day and a half later, when my girlfriend came in, saw me laying on the bed with my uniform on still, and I was sweating really bad and crazy. So I ended up going into the emergency room, finds out I had a flare. My admittance to the emergency room was because of the high fevers. I was delusional. I couldn't tell where I was. And then my headache was just really banging really hard. I didn't understand what that was. So I am so happy that they tested for each thing I complained about. They tested for, why am I having these headaches? Most of the times I went in, oh, you're having a lupus flare. Everything going on with you is related to lupus, so we'll just treat that. No, this time they actually did an MRI, and what they found was I found a lesion on my brain. That lesion, to this day, from June 2019 to right now, it still gives me migraines and headaches on a daily. I'm on my fourth neurologist team because they don't have a name for it. They call it encephalopathy of the brain, which that term is a broad term for a brain disease, but they don't know what to do with me. And I don't want them to cut my head open to get a biopsy, because they might tell me after a biopsy, we still don't know what it is. And now I had to deal with that type of, procedure. I don't want to do that. So at that point, they took me out of work, and they won't let me go to work because of the medication that I'm taking. It just lets me, I feel fatigued, and I feel almost dead to the world when I take it. It lightens up my headache, but that's not me. I'm not the type to sleep on my couch in beautiful San Diego when the sun is out. I need to be out there doing things. And so I could not, I can't go to work, and I only take it when it's really bothering me. So on a daily, I'm taking medication for it to ease it, but not enough to put me out. I just can't do it. So to your first question, what you were leading to, when that had happened, I realized work is not going to happen for a while. I keep in mind, I've been off of work because of surgeries, because of the dialysis, because of the transplant. But this one was something that I figured might be longer than every time I've been off. So through the years, I would talk about lupus, but not the way that I'm doing now. And the reason for that is because, again, when I was working, work was 100% on my mind. Making money, providing, doing this, having that, it was on my mind. Now that I come to the conclusion that, okay, state's going to pay me now for being sick and I'm going to get disability, I need to make up something for my time now. I'm going to go full-time advocacy for lupus. I've learned a big lesson from this disease. It makes me stronger. Every time I go through a procedure, how do I give this to other people? How do I share what I've gone through to inspire other people? So I sat at this very table I'm at right now, took out the notebook, and I gave myself a little itemized timeline and plan of what I was going to do. Because I'm a man with lupus, and I know there's only 10% of us out there compared to the 90% patients that are women, I wanted people to know that when I come out with this, I'm coming from my experience, my gender, and my whole life of going through this just about since I was 10 years old. So I called my group Male Lupus Warriors. As you can see on my shirt, that's what it says in the middle, Male Lupus Warriors, and the picture of the guy flexing his arms, just showing strength, because that's what I've been told all my career of being sick, where you were strong to go through this, go through that. So then I went through the whole 9 yards of becoming an organization through the state of California, an LLC. And my job is to advocate for lupus, but not only that, but to encourage other men to step up as well. And when I mean that just because we are sick doesn't mean that we can't talk to people and tell our story. Just because we have something that is putting us down, ailing us or whatever, or preventing us from being our 100% self, doesn't mean we have to bottle that in and hold on to it and not tell anybody, especially African-American men. Fellas, stress is a #1 killer for a lot of us, for all of us. We don't need that. If we're going through things in life, especially something that tells you you cannot work anymore because you're sick, you can't do this because you're sick, or now all of a sudden you got restrictions, you need to find people that are going through that and see how they're surviving, because you need to do the same thing. So my message, Lisa, is to talk to people, to let them know, especially men, that we may have this illness and sickness, but that doesn't mean we can't live a productive, good life. It's life-changing. We may have to alter things, change things, but that doesn't mean we cancel things, not at all. And that I had mentioned earlier, my passion was working, making money. Now I'm only making what disability can pay me, but my passion by far is when other guys message me, text me, email me, and say they are proud of what I'm doing. I'm ready to talk to you and tell you what I'm going through. And to me, that's huge. I have it with women. I have it with everybody that does that. That just tells me that somewhere down that line, I touched somebody for them to open up to me and tell me their story. And I'm so proud of that.
I love it. I really do. I love it. I love it. Now, how long you've had Male Lupus Warriors?
As of this month, it was 1 year. It was 1 year that I decided to open up. I was advocating from June 2019 through December, and then I was like, wait a minute, this is going a lot further than I thought. I might as well create a company, because it was just Emmitt that people were seeing advocating for lupus. That's it. But then, and I didn't know what to expect, where to go. It's one of those things, Lisa, that I didn't know I had a story until I told my story. And when I told my story, the opportunities that came to me. Example for you got me on your show. I'm blessed to have. I've been on a few transplant shows, podcasts, interviews, news, articles. And that's because I stood up and said, I'm going to say what had hindered me for so long, and I'm going to do something about it. I made a shirt that said, I turned my pain into power. And I stand by that, because all these years of being sick with the kidneys, with lupus, with the replacements of joints, it gave me the power to keep going and to spread this out to others that may need to hear it.
Wow. Wow. Well, congratulations on writing your book, and hopefully you'll come back once the book is done. And congratulations on the award you were supposed to get, but because of the pandemic, you didn't get it yet. So
Right.
and you're sitting on some boards. So tell them about some boards you're sitting on and about that award, and then give us your website.
Okay, I'm really excited that all of my advocacy had got the attention to some of the higher ups, and for me, that's just a blessing. Whether it's a high, whether it's low, for me to be mentioned, I'm just a proud person for that. Here in San Diego, we have the Lupus Foundation of America San Diego chapter, SoCal chapter, and I've been there as a guest, as a supporter, and I've gotten really close with the organization that they had asked me to be on their board. So I have a chair on their board as of January 1st. As of January 1st, there's a beautiful group out there called Colors of Nevada. I really support them. My daughter lives out there in Nevada, so I go out there often, but I was honored to have them ask me to be on theirs as well. So I will support and give them 100%. There's a group out here called Autoimmune Community Institute. Same thing. They approached me with everything that I'm doing, appreciate it, and asked me to not only have a seat on their board, but to also have these monthly, to be in charge of their monthly support groups. So monthly now, I head a support group with open to anybody, doesn't have to have lupus, because we're human beings. We go through emotions of any type of ailment or sickness or whatever as human beings, whether it's any disease across the board. The things that I like to bring to people are things that's going to make you feel good as a human being, in addition to fighting your disease as well. So I'm honored with that. Just recently, one of my achievements that I was talking to you about was getting crowned. I got crowned in a pageant as Mr. Gibson Lupus Arc 2020 for the Gibson Lupus Arc organization. And they did such a really good event to where they put lupus out there, made it entertaining for everybody to join, to look at, to give a platform to put lupus on the map. And these organizations, I take my hat off to you, Lisa, and your show, Steve, with everything that you guys do, because this is how lupus gets noticed. This is how awareness gets started. And people that are watching your show that may not know anything about it, they're looking at my shirt, Male Lupus Warrior. Let's see what that is. Now they start reading about it. That's how, you reach one, you teach a million, because that's the whole goal of awareness. And I am proud to wear my shirts. You got your purple on. We doing it today, Lisa. We rocking that.
I left my glasses over there. They're purple. My reading glasses. That's probably why I can't see this page. But no. Yeah. Excellent. Yes. Fantabulous. Well, do you have a website or a phone number, or talk about the groups? Maybe a man out there want to join your group that you do. So hit it. He can even put you solo. I want you to get it all out there yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. Being that I got some big things coming up with Male Lupus Warriors, and that's going to include a website that I didn't have the time to get to yet. So any of you guys that's out there that can help me with that, get at me. I'm looking for some help on that. But I am on the social media platforms with Facebook and Instagram, and I also have Twitter. You can find me on Facebook under my name at Emmitt Henderson III, and my page at Male Lupus Warriors. On Instagram, follow me at Male Lupus Warriors. And then same thing on Twitter, you can look me up at Male Lupus Warriors. My email to get directly a hold of me is malelupuswarriors@gmail.com. So I invite anybody, not just men because of my name, but anybody that wants to hear my story, that wants to, to pick my brain on what I've done and what I've been through to get through all of this. I am more than welcome. Another thing I want to talk about, Lisa, real quick, is that not only can you find that motivation and inspiration through me, but I collaborated with one of my good friends, a brother of mine that has lupus as well. Me and him combined with lupus has almost 40 years experience with lupus, to where we created our own group from coast to coast. He's in Virginia, I'm in California. Look us up under the Lupus Dream Team. You have my platform, he has his platform. We together have a platform. So now we're bringing advocacy through you in a lot of different ways. We want to show that men, out of the 10% men that has lupus, it's even a smaller percent of that that's speaking up on it. The 90% women that's out there, all of you ladies inspired me, inspired Dion, inspired the Lupus Dream Team to do what we do. We just want to do our part and help. So for you brothers out there that need some type of, how am I going to get through this? There is no doubt that you can. If you need somebody to talk to or somebody to hear, I'm here. My group is here. Lupus Dream Team is here. Male Lupus Warriors.
Go. That's all right. Mm-hmm. That's all right. Now, is there
Thank
anybody you want to give a shout out to or anything that we didn't mention?
You know what? The shout out I just gave to my boy Dion, because he's in this game with me from the East Coast. If anything, definitely my family. My mother and my father that I care for now, they've just been behind me through everything. They knew. They were the type that my son is sick, but he'll be all right. But he's about to have, he's going in for a heart issue. But they're going to say he's all right because they know me. And you know what that did? That just made me more stronger to prove to them they are right. I am going to be all right. And when I get out of here, I'll prove what you guys have said, 100%. So I give them big ups to that. And then my kids, my 2 grown kids that I have that supported me the whole time, check on me. They got the attitude that I'm strong, but they still check up on me. They ask me questions like I'm the child. and I can't be mad at that. I can't be mad at that because they've seen me go through my worst. They were in my hospital bed for every visit I was in. So that's what I want to give a shout out to. And then, of course, to the lupus community and platforms like yours, Lisa, and everybody that helps putting lupus on the map. Lupus is not as big as like cancer and like diabetes. We don't have commercials yet on all of that stuff. But that's what my goal is. My goal is to where I want to drive down the freeway one day. I want to see that billboard, 1-800-LUPUS for questions or for this and that. Or do you think you have lupus? Contact this number, helpline. That's what I want to see. And when we see all of that, that means that so many more people with lupus are going to be inspired and not feel like they're alone. As long as we let them know that you guys are not alone and there's guys like out there like me and the Dream Team that can help out, that helps people get out of the funk that they're in. And to me, again, mission accomplished if I'm able to do that.
Wow. Well, that's what I'm talking about. And you are all the way there. I mean, I feel the same way about commercials. That's why I do public service announcements and stuff like that. Any chance I get on any platform they let me on, I jump dead on it. You know what I mean? So I ain't mad at you. And we're here. You know what I'm saying? But
Absolutely.
I really appreciate you coming on. I appreciate all your strength and your compassion for what you do. You keep doing that thing. You keep being fantabulous. You keep being wonderful and awesome. I ain't mad at you. God is all around you. He got you, and he got great things for you. You keep pushing on because you are almost there, even further than you wanted to go.
Thank
you. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me as well.
Well, you're welcome. I'm about to end the show. I'm going to get 2 hits to it, and I'm going to let Nurse Belcher go to sleep. All right? Thank you. And now, transplant, I want to give you a resource called Transplant Life Foundation, 616-356-2331. Okay? That's 1. All right? Sickle cell is 800-421-8453. Those are 2 resources for you right there. All right. Next week guest is the debt crusher. If you got problems with money and stuff like that, the debt crusher, Sylvia Topley, is going to be on my show. So you be here 8 o'clock next week, or maybe 8:15 if Nurse Belcher have a show at 7, or whether it's 9 o'clock. But whatever it is, be here. All right. Love you. God bless. Peace. V for victory. Mwah.
Y'all ready for this? Yeah.
This is the Lisa Baxter Show, giving you the 411 in the kidney world.